invite you to receive these words of invocation. On this day of celebrated accomplishment, we are filled with gratitude, thankful for the land that sustains us, thankful that our diverse paths have been brought together, thankful for the friends and families that have supported us, for dedicated faculty and committed administration. As we step off this stage and into the rest of our lives, may our knowledge be coupled with wisdom that we might bring healing to the land. May we be filled with continued wonder and compassion that we might enrich the lives of those around us. Enable us to explore and embrace so that all of life might experience reconciliation. In the gift of love we pray, amen. You may be seated.
One more time. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Vice Chancellor, members of the board, fellows, faculty and staff, families and friends, and graduands, welcome to the celebration of convocation at the University of Guelph. I'd also like to extend a special welcome this afternoon to our convocation speaker, George Koo, who I will introduce to you formally in a moment. We're pleased that George could be with us for our Civic Day ceremony. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of the convocation staff and volunteer who work really hard to make this Convocation Week special for all of our graduates and their families. Can I ask you to please join me in showing our appreciation for their civic engagement and community spirit. I'm Maureen Mancuso, the Provost and the Vice President Academic, and I'm privileged to have the honor of opening this ceremony on behalf of the university. And I'd like to officially congratulate you, our graduands, on your momentous achievement. I hope you will join me in thanking the many people, families, friends, and mentors who have supported, encouraged, and assisted you in the pursuit of your studies. Today, we mark the end of one chapter of your lives and the beginning of a new one. You made it here today through years of effort and hard work, and now it's time to turn towards other goals and new challenges of increasing complexity and impact. Your journey of learning did not begin here at Guelph, nor does it end here today. If anything, it builds upon your experiences of the last few years to become more arduous, more enlightening, more productive, and more fulfilling. You came here to develop the possibilities and resources of your own minds. You came here to change your lives, to devote some time to learning essential skills and acquiring knowledge, to challenge yourselves and extend your capabilities. Here, in our community of scholars, you had the freedom to learn about the world and to learn about yourself. We hope you learned a great deal about how you will fit into and affect the world. We hope you see your path more clearly and that you see how your contributions on that path can lead to a better world. We have tried to help you prepare by opening your eyes to ideas you might not have encountered, cultures of which you are unaware, perspectives that complement and sometimes contrast with your own. We have tried to help you to think critically, to reject simplistic answers to complex questions, and to refuse the empty satisfaction of half-truths and partial solutions. Ultimately, though, we have shared with you one fundamental lesson. There's always more to learn. It's now up to you to start applying that lesson and those skills. We send you forth as representatives of the University of Guelph. We know you will make us proud, and we hope you're proud to wear the Guelph name. As you probably noticed, even when you were first applying to universities, we eagerly call attention to the exploits of our graduates. Be one of those people whose accomplishments we trumpet. Be someone who makes a mark on the world, someone who demonstrates the power and the potential of higher education. Take this responsibility seriously, because to quote my favorite fake American president, the West Wing's Jed Bartlett, decisions are made by those who show up. So now I say to you, graduates, flush with the pride and powers of the finest education we know how to provide, show up. Show up in your own lives. Live them critically. Live them wisely. Show up in the lives of others, family, friends, and strangers, and make them better, directly or indirectly, however you can. Show up in the world, not just as pictures on Facebook, but as someone who makes a difference, even if that difference is harder to discern and doesn't go viral on YouTube. Most especially, show up as active, aware, and caring citizens of your country, your city, your world. And that means tomorrow, vote in the provincial election. Wherever your future leads you, please don't forget that even though you may no longer be on campus, you are still a part of our community. Your association with Guelph, like your journey of learning, is lifelong. We hope that you'll feel welcome to return from time to time to share your accomplishments and your experiences with your fellow alumni, your former professors, and the future students who will follow in your footsteps. And so once again, I bid you welcome. Enjoy this ceremony, take pride in what it represents, and remember all of those who have helped to make this day possible. I offer you my personal congratulations and every best wish. Now, earlier today, Dr. George Koo received the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, in recognition of his leadership and scholarship in elevating the discourse regarding how we think about learning and the design of university policies and practices to foster student success. Dr. Koo has had a phenomenal impact on higher education and student success through his contributions as a teacher, researcher, and consultant. He is the Chancellor's Professor Emeritus of Higher Education and the founding director of the Center for Post-Secondary Education Research at Indiana University in Bloomington. He continues to actively engage in research and service as an adjunct professor of education policy at the University of Illinois. For more than 35 years, Dr. Koo's work has focused on various aspects of assessment of student learning, institutional improvement, and university and college cultures. Currently, he directs the National Institute for Learning Outcomes Assessment. He directed the creation and the development of the innovative National Survey of Student Engagement. Some of you might recognize it by its acronym, NSSE, which has been used by more than 1,400 colleges and universities in the United States and Canada. Thousands of faculty members and administrators and millions of students have benefited from his work with NSSE. The results have proven instrumental in helping universities to identify and apply practices that best enable students to learn. He was also the founding director of the Strategic National Arts Alumni Project, the first in-depth exploration of the factors that influence the careers of graduates of arts-intensive training high schools and post-secondary institutions. Equally important, Dr. Koo's work has influenced the way people think and talk about what matters in a high-quality undergraduate experience. With more than 375 publications, he is a highly sought-after advisor and lecturer who has made several hundred presentations on a wide range of topics related to institutional improvement and student success. He has shared his expertise with many Canadian post-secondary institutions, and he's visited the University of Guelph on numerous occasions. For his achievements, Dr. Koo has received much recognition, including 8 other honorary degrees and awards from several universities and national organizations dedicated to the advancement of teaching and learning. Please join me in welcoming our convocation speaker this afternoon, George Koo.
So it's really a treat to be here. I mean, I'm supposed to say formal things like members of the platform party, esteemed, and they are esteemed University of Guelph faculty and staff, but to parents and family and friends, and especially the class of 2014, it is a treat to be here. I got my picture taken with the Griffin earlier, styling when my family sees me in this red robe. And I have a baccalaureate of arts degree in English and history. I turned into an applied social scientist. I'm not sure what that says about me or what it might say about you. You know, in the U.S., we call these events commencement, which is supposed to signal the end and then the start of new beginnings. You can do whatever you want with that. But let me just say something about, and by the way, I'm sorry you had to listen to the obituary that the provost just delivered. But one of the things that has been a gift to me has been learning about what really good colleges and universities do. And one of the things we learned very early on with one of these projects that Maureen mentioned was how good the quality of undergraduate education is at the University of Guelph. Now, you may have doubted that at times. You might doubt it tomorrow. But this is a place that has really done extraordinary things in making the curriculum and out-of-class experience coherent and delivering what I consider to be a meaningful, high-quality undergraduate experience. So that's terrific. Now, the rest of this is for the class of 2014, and I harbor no illusions that this will be the most memorable part of your day. I have no recollection of who spoke at my baccalaureate commencement, and I remember nothing, really, that was said. But what I do remember about that day is that it was a very exciting moment, but it was also bittersweet. I mean, I got that bittersweet feeling a little bit later. Some of you may have it already, but you know, it's a moment of looking to see what's around the next corner or two, but at the same time, some of you are also looking back over your shoulder to try to bring into perspective what it was that happened to you here and who meant so much to you. And you probably have done some of this, beginning to say goodbyes to people. Maybe it's just so long for a while. We hope that's the case. But so many people here have made so many parts of your time special, and I'll say more about that in a minute. So you're going to different, some of you actually have jobs. Am I right about that? Actually have jobs. Some are going on to grad school. Some are going to travel. You're going to do volunteer. A lot of different things that people in this room are going to do in the next day, month, year. And what I want to do just in the next few minutes is to share 5 wishes I have with you for this journey you're embarking on. Actually, the first is more of a prediction instead of a wish, because you don't really have any choice. You got to spend, as Maureen has already said, you got to spend the rest of your life learning, or it won't be much of a life. Now, you don't want to hear that. You just completed final exams and papers, and I'm not here to disappoint, but the exams that really count, they're starting tomorrow, and they won't be multiple choice, they won't be essay, they won't have more or less correct, straightforward answers. But know this, people around you will be grading you every day. Your friends, your family, your employer, your partner, everybody is going to be watching how well you perform. And soon, you're going to realize, if you haven't already, that every day, what you're learning trumps the facts that you've tucked away. Facts are important, but you're now in an environment, as has already been signaled probably many times, you're sick of hearing about it, that new information doubling every 18 months or so. What you know today really may be quite, if not irrelevant, just flat out wrong tomorrow. And here's the kicker for me. I don't know what I would have thought if I heard somebody, of course I didn't remember what they told me at my baccalaureate, so it doesn't make any difference, but the projections are that people sitting in this room, the class of 2014, the typical person in your class is going to have between 10 and 15 different jobs by age 36. Not in a lifetime of working, but by mid-career. What kind of undergraduate experience, what kind of a life experience prepares somebody for that? Some of you, most probably, are going to be doing work down the line that doesn't even exist today. So indispensable are these qualities of flexibility and adaptability, things you can't read and memorize out of a book, right? And Charles Darwin knew this a long time. He said, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, or even the most intelligent, but it's the one that is most responsive to change. So you can bet, you're going to bet on something today, bet on this. You know, you're going to have to reinvent your work and perhaps parts of your life many times. So keep learning and get better at it. My second hope for you is that you be a truth teller. A truth teller. For 40 years, a guy by the name of Jack Valenti headed the Motion Picture Association in the U.S., probably at least one of the more cutthroat of American industries. Yet, Valenti had staying power of more than 4 decades because he apparently followed his own advice, which he handed out to everybody who would listen. First, he said, he had 3 rules. First, in his language, play above the table. Don't lie, cheat, or steal. Second, never desert a friend in need. And his third rule was, always keep your word. Always. I had a treadmill in the basement of a house I lived in for many years, and in direct line of sight was this bulletin board with big block letters, don't compromise yourself, it's all you got, right? So I hope you'll be a truth teller. We need more such people. My generation not been particularly good role models. So you have to do better. My third hope is that you will make sustainability a priority. I mean, the planet's in trouble. We can debate what the proximal causes are, but every informed, clear-minded person I know, when you look at the evidence, agrees that we got to do something. But today I want you to think about 2 other dimensions of sustainability. The first is to sustain yourself, to take care of your body, mind, and spirit. It takes discipline to do this. When one's out of whack, performance in other areas, every other area typically suffers. But you don't need my word. If you can read a biography of almost any successful person in any area of human endeavor who performed at a high level over an extended period of time, and sooner or later, they discovered they needed to take better care of themselves. And you should do it sooner. Another desperately needed, in my opinion, form of sustainability is ensuring the vitality of institutions foundational to democracy, especially those that promote civility and peace-seeking and peacekeeping. Wherever you go from here, there are going to be organizations and entities that need your time and attention. And the beauty of this exchange is most of you have already discovered this numerous times, working for the betterment of others makes us feel good. Which brings me to my 4th wish. Leave some footprints. Footprints. Leaving footprints is kind of an odd thing to say after whining about the condition of the planet, but I mean it in a different way. Many people act as if wherever they go is kind of like a camping trip, right? It's a temporary stop on the way to someplace else. You put down a few stakes, they're easy to pull up, and you can move on, right? But people who think and act like transients impoverish the quality of their lives as well as their workplace and community. They hedge on making commitments. They invest less of their best selves, and so they take little or no responsibility for the well-being of others. And this is not how you create and maintain caring, respectful communities. Digging a foundation at every stop, it's hard work. It's not easy. Most of the people in this room sitting behind you, they got scars to show it, right? But it gets easier as time goes on, as you become more confident, really know yourself even better, become more purposeful. It's one of the so-called advantages of getting older. Some years from now, I'm predicting this will happen to every one of you graduating today. You're going to be by yourself. This will be somewhere down the road. It'll depend on what's happened. But you won't be thinking anymore about how much money you're making. Believe me, there will come a time when you're not. You won't be thinking so much about that, and you won't be thinking about how famous maybe you are or would like to be, but you're going to be wondering what good you are doing, about whether you're leaving footprints on your family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, footprints that are making them and the world better. Here's what one poet wrote about footprints. She said, "Some people come into our lives and quickly go. Some people move our souls to dance. They awaken us to new understanding with the passing whisper of their wisdom. Some people make the sky more beautiful to gaze upon. They stay in our lives for a while, leave footprints on our hearts, and we are never, ever the same." Who at Guelph has left footprints on your heart? Who here has left deep footprints on your mind? Whose footprints have helped shape who you are today and want to be tomorrow? And so my last wish for you is this. Find these important people in your life and tell them what they mean to you. Do it soon and do it often. My congratulations to the class of 2014. Be safe, stay engaged, live strong, do good work.
Well, the moment has now arrived. Will the graduating class please rise? Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University of Guelph that they may be admitted to their various and several degrees.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I hereby accept you for admission to your various and several degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining thereto.
Will members of the graduating class please be seated?
All right, the moment has come. After all these years, they're finally going to get the degrees. Could I ask you, please, to hold your applause? We have 3 large groups will be going across the stage, and I'll tell you when you can applaud. However, if you should be overcome by joy, feelings of thanksgiving, want to leap in the air, hug your neighbor, go right ahead. That's quite permissible. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts that they may be admitted to the degree of a Bachelor of Arts honors program. Lisa Marie Aguiar, Clarissa Alexandra Anderson, Joshua Anderson Coates, Thomas Ashman, Rowan Wayne Atkinson, Jonathan James Barabal with distinction, Andrew Russell Bell. Tyler Brody Burlett with distinction. Sophia Matisse Biro. Claire Noel Bissett. Alexandra Boston. Frances Helena Botton with distinction. Robert Oliver Brandel. Pierce James Britt. Mackenzie Taylor Burton. Good, keep it up. Angelica Rosanna Marie Callender. Alyssa Jordan Carlick. Catherine Carveth. Erica Marie Chi with distinction. Emily Catherine Clark with distinction. Holly Christine Clements with distinction. Lauren Priyanka Datta. Samantha Dowdy with distinction. Nicholas Harper Dell. Alyssa Ann Denley. Haley Robin Eidelman with distinction. Wesley Dennis Feely. Natasha Melissa Genge. Georgia Margaret Grieve. Angela Grigg. Alicia Teresa Grakowska with distinction. Okay. Catherine Hamill with distinction. Julia Kathleen Haynes. Jenna Holita. Andrew J. Huckle. Cassandra Grace Ivings with distinction. Ryan David Johnson with distinction. Emily Jones. Rachel Sarah Kopatsky with distinction. Samantha Marie Latham. Barbara Jean Blatkowski. Okay. Robert Alexander Lee with distinction. Lindsay Legg. Brett Reginald Leslie. Rachel Elizabeth Laurie with distinction. William McKenzie. Robert Mayer. Victoria Mann. Amanda Nayana Marsh. Scott Charles Marshall. Sarah Marinovich. Good heavens. Emily Judith Masters. Erin Maxfield with distinction. Emma Jane Laura McClure. Scott Brian James McDouling. Kenzie McKeegan with distinction. Colin Stewart McNally. Scott Warren McVitie. Samantha Elizabeth Mello. Gloria Carwing Mock with distinction. Chantal Monette. Shelby Elise O'Connor. Daniel Timothy O'Keefe. Alice Palacios. Jacqueline Doreen Parent with distinction. Jennifer Lynn Mary Parnell. Sarah Lauren Perkins. Kira Ann Pettigrew. Vanessa Lillian Popolo. Michelle Marie Piper. Sarah Nadine Piper. Sheila Grace Louise Quayle with distinction. Natasha Reddy. Jessica Ann Reines with distinction. Colleen Rodriguez. Alexander Peter Roybus. River Channing Roy. Jessie May Sawyers. Leah Alexandra Shabaga with distinction. Claire Smith. Andrew Richard Sproul. Jeremy Michael Thackeray. Calvin Ransley Charles Tennecoon with distinction. Catherine Casey Wortman. Daniel Noki Willison. Amy Wolf. Amanda Pauline Wiley. And let us congratulate this group of scholars. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts General Program. Laurel Rebecca Barr with distinction. Lindsay Bartz. Danica Béchard. Stephen Andrew Beckman. Caitlin Charpentier. David Max Kupchik. Sidoni Nora Curran. Alexander Deslauriers. Alana Elizabeth Durer. Laura Megan Fisher. Amy Elizabeth Gismondi. Aislinn Maida Harrison. Caitlin Harth. William Hope. Jacqueline Helen LaBelle. Brigitta Patricia Martin. Wanisha Sashana Morris. Ashley Ann Monroe. Caitlin O'Gorman. Charles Satchel Holloman Page. Sarah Patterson. Kyle John Pilling. Sarah Gabrielle Placo. Matthew Russell. Okay. Michael James Teeter. And let us congratulate this group of scholars. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts, that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts and Science Honors Program. Jessica Mary Adams. Samuel Charles Baskerville. Brittany Burek with distinction. Jamie Jane Cameron. Alexandra Kish. Phaedra Cooper. Farah Ellen Daramshi. Sarah Louise Dowling with distinction. Rashan Edwards. Lauren Friedman. Megan Lenora Guilfoyle. Nigel William Peter Joyce. Roxana Khalid. Rebecca Corrine McDougall. Kate Alexandra Mullaney with distinction. Holly Ann McGee. Julia Luba Myers with distinction. Elena Rab Nardozzi with distinction. Caitlin Marie Nash with distinction. Elizabeth Ratcliffe. Carly Ray Roberts. Hannah Ross. Catherine Alexandrine Sinclair. Alana Taylor with distinction. Marian Alexandra Veach. Lindsay Renee Walker. And Victoria Melissa Woodhouse.
How about you give it up one more time for the dean, who did a great job with all the names. Mr. Chancellor, I would ask you to confer the various and several degrees on the graduands listed in the program, but unable to be present at this ceremony.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I confer the various and several degrees in absentia on the graduands not present.
Mr. Chancellor, so you did it. You actually finished. You managed to get across the stage without falling over, despite some of those astonishing shoes that you're wearing. You've got your parchment, the piece of paper that proves you've completed the degree, and I bet you think you're good to go. But I've got some really bad news for you. I am the only thing that stands between you and the rest of your lives. And I can speak for hours and hours and hours. Don't worry. I'm not going to go on for long. I really want to ask you 3 things. First of all, I'd like you to think back. Think about all of the things you've done here. Think about all of the things you've learned. Think about the ways you've changed. All the people that you've met. All of the friends you've made. What would you say was the most fantastic thing that happened to you? What was the worst thing that happened to you? What was the most stupid thing that you did? Well, from up here, as I look at your fantastic, amazing faces, as I ask you to recall those memories, you can see shadows passing across your faces. I say what was a fantastic thing that happened, and you smile. I say what was an awful thing. There's a bit of a frown on your face as you think about something awful that happened, some paper you didn't submit or something. And then when I say what was the stupidest thing, you split into two groups. There are those of you that have this twinkle in your eye because you can think of something that, was really ridiculous and fun. And then there are those of you that have this panic on your face because you think I've been creeping you on Facebook. Why do I pose these questions? It's because I want you to remember. I want you to have memories of here that you won't ever forget. Much to the chagrin of those of us on the stage here who are your teachers, it's actually very unlikely that you will remember very much about what you've been taught in terms of facts. Truth to tell, many of them have probably evaporated already. So if you don't remember that, what do you take away from here? Well, I hope you take away much more than a parchment, much more than a string of notes or a set of files. I hope you take away from here what it means to be part of a society, part of a group, and because we're the U of G, part of a herd. A herd that cares about the world around you and cares about the people. So I said there were three things. Number one is to look back. And I bet because you're all very clever and you have the parchment to prove it, you're thinking that number two is to look forward. Well, you'd be wrong. Actually, the second thing I want to do is I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to be involved, to be engaged in the critical social, political, and humanitarian issues that face this world. You are now part of an incredible but small elite group of people who've had the privilege to gain this level of education. So I want to challenge you to work tirelessly for tolerance and understanding. When you see intolerance and people failing to understand, I don't want you to be angry. I want you to just turn round and use the skills that you have developed here to stamp out injustice, to fight for those people who cannot, to speak for those individuals who have lost their voices, and above all, to care. Care for the people and this planet around you. Because it's only by caring that you will truly make a difference in this world. And we absolutely need you. In a world that is riven with injustice, that is challenged by dogma and prejudice and disadvantage, our absolute hope is you. Do something. Something. I don't care whether you take on a leadership role in dealing with these incredibly daunting challenges, or whether you just decide today to do something far more significant. And that is to make a decision today, now, in this moment, that what you are going to do is to dedicate every day of your life from here on in, you will improve the life of at least one other person. Think about that multiplied over your lifetime and the impact that that will have on others. But how do you do it? It's very simple. Very simple. I don't know if you know, but human animals have a completely unique trait. If you smile at another human being, no matter how miserable, upset, angry, depressed, fed up they are, if you smile and keep smiling, just as you're doing, they cannot help but smile back. And when they do, you change their lives and your own. Find ways to include people of all ages and stages, all genders and races, in everything that we do to make this a better planet. So, take your parchment, take the values and ideals that you have learned here, especially take your friendships that will last a lifetime, and get out of here. Those of us that are left behind will be watching you with great pride. So I said there were three things: to look back, I wanted to challenge you, and the third is that I actually want to ask a favor. You are the future. And the favor is that I'd like a selfie with you because you represent that future, and it's a treasured gift to me to know that I and the other people on this stage and all of your mentors have had a small part in your journey. So just forgive me a moment, would you? Following convocation, the Dean has made arrangements for a reception in the atrium of the Science Complex, and I hope that you all attend and be able to say thank you to all of those people that you need to thank for supporting you over the time that you've been here. Take lots of pictures. They are the memories that will really bind in your brain. And when you come back as an alumna or alumnus, in several years' time, you'll be able to pull out those pictures and talk about them and laugh about them. Next weekend after, we have Alumni Weekend, and we've actually got people coming back who graduated 60 years ago, 60 years ago. And I know that they'll get out their photographs and they'll say, "You haven't changed a bit." But what you'll do in the next few years is to say, "I can't believe that I had such long hair that got stuck in the hood when they put it on. I can't believe I wore such ridiculously high-heeled shoes as I walked across the stage." And I'm not sure what the girls will say to each other. Take lots of pictures as mementos. They're important. But please would you remember to return your gowns before you leave today. You can either give them back at the tent just behind us, or you can drop them off at the Science Complex atrium. Thank you for taking the time to share in this really, really precious moment. I celebrate and salute your successes, and I wish you every success in the future. Thank you.
Convocation is dismissed.